We will now do a few examples of dividing fractions. So if you remember from class, there are a couple ways to think about this, but our rules can either be stated as keep, change, change, or keep, switch, flip. Okay? So we'll talk about these as we go through our first example of 2/5 divided by 3/4. So we know that when we're dividing fractions, we are actually going to multiply them, and that's where our rules come in place. So we're going to rewrite this problem using keep, change, change, or keep, switch, flip. So in both of them, we keep our first fraction, which is 2/5. From there, we change or switch our sign, our operation, from division to multiplication. Next, we change or flip our second fraction. Okay, we're going to use the reciprocal. So instead of using 3/4, we're going to use 4/3. From here, we can see we have nothing to simplify, so we go ahead and multiply across. 2 times 4 will give us a numerator of 8, and 5 times 13 will give us a denominator of 5 times 3 will give us a denominator of 15. There's nothing to simplify, so this is our final answer, 8/15. Our next example, we will use a visual as well as the algorithm. So our next example is 3 divided by 1/2. So if we just use the standard algorithm, 3 is a whole number, so we can write it as 3/1. And we would have divided by 1/2. We still have division because we didn't use the reciprocal of any of the fractions yet, and we haven't changed the sign. We just wrote 3 as a fraction. From here, we use our rules. So we're going to keep our first fraction, change our sign, and then use the reciprocal of our second fraction. From here, we multiply across. 3 times 2 is 6, and 1 times 1 will give us 1. We can write 6/1 as the whole number 6, and that would be our final answer. So to look at this in kind of a visual sense, we will draw 3 boxes to represent our whole number of 3. Okay, imagine they're all the same size. So this problem, 3 divided by 1/2, is really asking us, well, how many times can 1/2 fit into 3? Okay, so to figure this out, we drew our 3 holes, our 3 boxes. Now we want to see how many times 1/2 can fit. So what we're going to do is split up each of these holes into 2 parts. Okay, so one would represent 1/2. Now all we have to do is count to see how many 1/2s fit into our whole number of 3. Here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So we can see from our picture as well that 3 divided by 1/2 would be 6. We will do another example with mixed numbers. 3 and 1/2 divided by 2 and 3/4. So again, we are not going to work with mixed numbers. We need to change them to improper fractions. 2 times 3 gives us 6, plus 1 is a new numerator of 7, over 2. We keep our denominator. We're still dividing as of right now. We need to change the second fraction. 2 times 4 gives us 8, plus 3 gives us a numerator of 11. And our denominator stays the same at 4. From here, we need to keep, change, change, or keep, switch, flip. So we're keeping our first fraction at 7/2, changing our operation, and using the reciprocal of the second fraction, which would be 4/11. From here, we notice we can cross simplify. 2 is a factor of 2 and 4. So 2 goes into 2 one time. 2 goes into 4 two times. Now we can multiply across. 7 times 2 is 14. And 1 times 11 is 11. Now we're almost done. We just need to change this improper fraction to a mixed number. So we will divide. 14 on the inside, 11 on the outside. 11 doesn't go into 1. 11 goes into 14 one time. To give us 11, we subtract and get a remainder of 3. So our whole number is going to be 1. Our numerator will be 3, and our denominator will be 11. We can't simplify this, so it is our final answer. Lastly, we're going to do one word problem, so I'll read it aloud. A recipe calls for 2½ cups of sugar. How many complete cakes can you bake if you have 7 1/3 cups of sugar? So to think about this question, we have 7 1/3 cup. Now we want to know how many times 2 1/2 will fit into 7 1/3 to figure out how many complete cakes we can bake. So our problem for this word problem is going to be 7 1/3 divided by 2 1/2. So let's go ahead and work this out together. Find our improper fractions. 3 times 7 is 21, plus 1 will be 22. Keep your denominator of 3. Second fraction will be 2 times 2, which is 4, plus 1 will give us 5/2. At this point, we are going to use keep, change, or keep, switch, flip. We'll keep our first fraction at 22/3, change our sign, and use the reciprocal. We cannot simplify anything here, so we can go ahead and multiply across. 22 times 2 will give me 44, and 3 times 5 will give me a denominator of 15. Our last step is to do our division, to change it into a mixed number. 44 divided by 15. Doesn't go into 4. 15 will fit into 44 two times. 2 times 15 is 30. We'd subtract and be left with 14 as a remainder. Our whole number will be 2. Our numerator will be 14, and we keep our denominator at 15. We cannot simplify, so this is our final answer.